Hi, friends. Hello, the world. Welcome back to this episode of Tools for Transitioning Humanitarians. I'm your host, Stella Monova. And today I want to talk about my decision-making process in every situation that I have encountered and how I have solved or decided on those issues before moving forward, right? And the reason why I wanted to share this is I was having a lot of discussions lately with some of the humanitarians about what is the right decision and how to make a decision around this crisis and lack of jobs. Your job is being cut or about to be cut, and what to do next, where to go. And in those situations, it becomes such uh, a difficult, heavy conversation with ourselves, right, as to where and which way to go and how to go about it. And therefore, I thought that I have like shared with a lot of them about how I think about decision making and how I make decisions. And I wanted to make it as simple as possible for you to apply immediately and both make your decisions and make it in a way that you start then take actions on those decisions instead of staying in this indecision and confusion and all of this, right? So just to give you an example of situations that I was helping humanitarians deal with is the recent situation that came up where someone who is working for one of the UN agencies and the job is about to be cut, and she feels like she really needs to take care of her two children, and they're small, and therefore she feels I don't know what to do because I don't think I will ever get a family duty station where I can be with my family, right? But at the same time, I don't want to be jobless because I need to take care of my children and what to do. I don't want to necessarily go and seek something else because I don't really believe that can work. So therefore, within the environment of UN where I am, um, how can I make it the right decision to go where and how to make that work? So these are the discussions that I was having a lot lately. And this is not only UN, but it is also USAID people that I'm talking to, or former USAID, whichever the way you want to um, look at it, and any other institutions that we have learned to be part of for a long time. And it feels like now it's such a like decisions feel such a high stake decisions. And because it's such high stake decisions, we don't really know how to make those decisions in a powerful way. And therefore we stay in this indecision, in confusion or fear a lot of the time, right? Now, uh, the way that I want to simplify this is I want you to understand which type of situation you are in. And the way that I call these situations, I will like put it into two categories. One is the survival type of situation where you feel like you have to find a job tomorrow or like this month, otherwise I'm going to be in trouble. That would be one situation that we'll be talking about in terms of decision making. And the other situation that I'm talking about is more long-term striving, wanting to be where I want to, and that type of situation. And how do we make decisions in those environments, right? So you need to understand for yourself what is your situation, and depending on that situation, then we can navigate how to make the decision. And in the survival one, the way that like if the way that you know that you are in survival basically is that you are overwhelmed by fear, panic maybe, stress about and pressure about I have to find a job, I have to find a job, and I don't know how. And in that situation, the decision might be simply what's the next step or what's the likelihood of me getting this job and how can I maximum use my energy to get that job, right? So because in that environment, what the purpose really is to feel safe again, to feel like our basic needs are covered so that we can really get to what's the most likely scenario that I can get a job and how can I do that. That would really be literally the like the question to solve for, instead of thinking about, oh, do I really want to do this long term or anything else? But what I also see a lot of people do is, once we get to that safety place, let's say that we have covered our basics, and then what we end up oftentimes doing is then we feel like, oh, now I can just, relax and see and hope for the best, instead of using that safety time to then say, okay, what is it that I actually want to do and what I want to build? And let me start working towards that, instead of just, okay, I feel relieved now. I don't need to worry about for the next 6 months. And let me just stay here and camp out. And that, I think, is, again, short-term thinking, right? Because then what we end up then doing is we end up back in the same place that we didn't want to be back in again, where we feel again pressured, stressed, and don't know what to do and how to do. So that's why the way that I think about is, okay, if I am not like, if I am in the, I have to get a job, whatever job, so that I can cover my needs, that would be not much of a decision process, because I, like, at that point, I'm just surviving and getting to the coast of something, essentially, right? If we are using the analogy of drowning in the ocean, then I just need to go to the coast and then figure out the rest of the things, right? But once we get to the coast, and this is where the important part happens, is that's where the real decision making takes place, according to how I have seen things happen. So I wanted to introduce how I usually make decisions, whether I'm in survival or I'm in more of a calm and what do I want situation. I always make the decision from the trusting place and not from the fear place, right? And this I have been talking about a lot in different ways, but if you're new to me and you haven't really like known me for a long time, then this is what you need to know about me, is that I always try to make decisions from a grounded, calm place, not from a rushed, stressed out, fearful place. Because I have done those decisions where I have made the decision to, oh my God, I need to get to a coast somewhere. Let me just cover my basic needs and the needs of my family, because I'm always in charge of financial stability of my family, including myself. And therefore, back in the day when I was leaving UN and I thought, okay, I'm burnt out. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do totally something else. And then I made the decision, a desperate decision of, oh my God, I don't know where to go and how to do. I don't know what's going on. And then I just stay in panic. And then I cannot even go for the things that I really wanted to. And then I ended up coming back to UN and doing the work. And in some way, it was a good thing because it allowed me to resolve a lot of the things. But it also showed me that I was coming back to the thing that I left to begin with. And I still had a lot of my own issues about why I didn't want to continue doing this work, because of the impact that I didn't really see happening the way that I thought it should have happened, right? So therefore, I felt like, okay, my basic needs are met, fine. I can cover my costs and all of those things. Except now I'm back at the situation of, okay, what am I going to do now? Or am I going to stay here? Am I not going to stay? Right. So those are the decisions that I needed to make anyway. And in those moments when I like covered my basic needs, what I realized then is that the bigger decisions were still pending. It's just that I didn't have time at the time because of survival. I didn't really have time to be looking at the bigger picture of, okay, what is it that I want to do, what I believe that I want to do, or what I believe in doing, versus what I need to do, what I have to do, what my fear is telling me to do, right? So those are the distinctions that I started making. And then once I started making the distinction of, okay, these are the things I want to do, Like, for instance, if when back in the day when I was looking at my situation, I was having a great career, I was a manager and all of those things. The career was going well, except that's not what I wanted to do because for me, it was always important the outcome, the impact, the results that we create. And therefore, I was doing what I felt like I have to do because I am at this level. My career is going well. Who is in the right mind would resign in the times of COVID and all of those things, right? But in those moments, the decision that I have made was based on what I really want to do, right? So that's the distinction is that when we are in this trusting and grounded place of I can do whatever I want in life, then the possibilities open up. And I always want to make decisions from the place of I can do whatever I want in life. I can always learn new skills, new ways of doing it, but I'm never wanting to do things because I have to, excuse me, because I need to or because I'm afraid otherwise, right? So that's why when I have made the decision to resign 2020, around March or April, and that's when I have made the decision from okay, no matter what happens in the world, no matter what the COVID is going to be, no matter how the situation is going to be, I want to be the person who always works on things that I truly believe in, I truly want to be doing. And while I do that, I also want to be living with my loved ones and also making the money I want to. So I want to be this person, right? I don't want to be the person anymore who makes decisions out of rush, out of stressed out, fearful place of, oh my God, I have to have something. I have to get something. Otherwise, I'm doomed and gloom. I didn't want to be that person. So therefore, in the decision making that I always make, whatever the big decisions or the small decisions, is I always look at it from if I am the person who uh, can make or who can work on anything that I really love, which one do I choose or which one do I want to go for, and how do I make that happen? And that's how I always make the angle and the decision from that place. Because if I don't do that, this is the other, like the downside of it, right? So if I don't make decisions from wanting to do things, from truly believing in doing things, from um, like having other parts of my life also intact. If I don't do those decisions from that place, what I end up doing, which I have seen myself do many times, is I continue putting myself in the situation of survival. I continue putting myself in the situation of increasing my fear, growing my fear of, oh my God, I can't do this because that's too dangerous. I can't do this because that's risky. I can't do this because I have never done this before. I can't do that because I cannot afford it, right? I will always continue living my life that way because the survival brain wants me to just survive and go to the next thing and the next thing instead of really looking at okay, how do I actually want to live and thrive in life and live my life in that way rather than just surviving from one thing to the next thing. And the other way that I also know that if I don't really make decisions out of trust, out of confidence in myself, then I also show myself that I just need to give in to fear. I just need to compromise to whatever comes my way. I just need to say yes to whatever that I can barely find, and then I continue living in that scarcity, right? So now imagine, like I always also think of it, imagine for myself, if I was about to like decide on a relationship with a partner, right? I wouldn't be just saying, oh, let me just go for someone who I can barely find or whatever it is, I don't care. As long as this person exists, then I'm fine. I would never do that to myself, right? And the same way, I always think about decision making about jobs that we do, because that's most of our lives that we dedicate to, and most of our fulfillment and growth and learning opportunities come from that job. And if we're going to just take a job that just makes us feel like, I mean, it's not bad. I guess it's okay. I guess I should be happy. Well, let's just see. If I do that and make decision from that place, then I will just spend another year, 2 years, or however long I will spend in that job feeling that way, even though I'm getting a paycheck maybe, but I'm not fulfilled. I'm not really happy about what's going on. I just feel like, oh, I'm doing it because of money. I'm doing it because I didn't have another choice. I don't want to put myself in that situation, right? So therefore, I have trained and learned how to make decisions from this, what I call powerful place of I can do whatever I want to. I can also manage my fear no matter where I'm going, or manage my fear, my worry, whatever the other emotions that come up. I can always manage those, because what is important to me is that I always want to be the person who works on the things that I truly believe and love. I also want to be the person who works on the actual impact, the tangible impact, rather than just like whatever the thing that I'm doing. And I also want to be the person who lives with my loved ones and available and be there for them whenever they need, whenever I want to, all of those things. And I also want to be the person who gets paid well for doing those things, right? So that's why my decision-making process always comes from me trusting myself and my abilities to be able to make that life work for me. And when I think from that perspective, from that lens, which job uh, I really love doing, which job fulfills me, which job I really see the impact of, and which job I will allow me to be with my loved ones and get paid well so I can continue living my lifestyle the way I want to, right? So I will always look from that lens and then make decisions. Now, here are the things that I also want you to be noticing about what are the things I don't do. And this is, I think, something that's so key for you to also think about it for yourself, right? In case you want to apply this logic. So, what are the things that I don't do? The things that I don't do is when I'm making decisions, I don't focus on competition or all the other people who are doing this job. I don't focus on that, because the minute I focus on that, then my brain starts telling me all the ways how I'm not going to be successful. I'm not going to be able to do this. Well, might you do this? All of those things come up. And now it doesn't mean that that's a bad thing that those come up, except that oftentimes what we tend to do is we tend to believe those stories and therefore stop ourselves from going for what we actually want to do. Right? We just stop ourselves and we say, well, there's so many people who are doing like coaching. There's so many people who are consultants. There's so many people who are, I don't know, interior design artists or whatever it is that we tell ourselves. And then we just stop ourselves from going for it. So that's why I don't do any of those things. And the reason why I don't do it, not only because that it influences us so much, but also this is something that I have no control over competition, right? So I have no control over competition of how many people, what they're going to do and how they're going to do all of those things. But I always believe that there's always enough work for all of us to be doing what we really genuinely love doing. And therefore, I always look at what I can control and what I can do and what I want to do rather than who is out there doing it and how there's so many and all of those things. So the logic there is I don't look at things that I have no control over, and I don't look at things that influences me in a way that makes me feel powerless. And I don't want to be making decisions out of powerless position. The next thing is I don't make decisions out of worst case scenario situation. And this is something that I have really learned along the way is that I have like I think a lot of the times in the past I used to make decisions from, oh, uh as long as this works out, or this is the worst case scenario, let me try to avoid it at all points, at all costs. And then to realize that if I keep allowing my brain to focus on the worst case scenario, I will always be like making decisions so that I can avoid worst case scenario rather than building the best case scenario for myself. So therefore, I don't even look at what are the worst case scenarios in decision making, because I truly believe that whatever I really want to do in life, and I want to do it well, then I will always be rewarded no matter what happens. Right. So therefore, I don't want to be like watching out and waiting for where the worst case can come and how can I respond to it, and all of those energy I don't want to spend on. So that's why I don't do any of the worst case scenario situations. And even recently, I was doing some investment decisions. I was also looking at, okay, I'm fine with in case this gets lost or gets like I don't get my money, I'm fine and peaceful with it, but I'm more into learning like how I make investments and how I learn from those lessons rather than holding on to my money and being afraid of, oh my God, am I going to lose this? And if I lose, what happens? And all of those things, because I don't want to generate scarcity after scarcity and not even take actions. I rather take action and learn from that, and then understand, this was the worst case scenario. Now I know, and okay, next time I don't want to be uh like getting into the same problem. So how can I prevent it in the future, right? So that's why that's the important. And the last bit, maybe in terms of what are the things I don't do in decision making process, is I don't really stay in indecision or in confusion or what's the right decision, what's the wrong decision, and keep waiting for someone else to tell me. And I think this is something so crucial because we feel like it's such a responsibility, and we're afraid to take responsibility, or we feel like we haven't taken the responsibility. Therefore, we feel if someone else tells us what to do, or other people's opinions, right? Or if other people say, oh, don't do it, then we just listen to them. I don't want to do any of those things because I want to also learn to take responsibility for my actions. And I want to reinforce my trust in myself that I am capable of taking responsibility. I'm also wanting to use this as an opportunity for me to feel more of the trust in myself, and I also want to like reinforce my trust about it's not that someone else knows what's the right answer, it's that me who knows the right answer, and the right answer is what I decide the right answer is, instead of keep searching for who else will tell me about what's the right answer is. Right. So therefore, I want to like use every decision-making opportunity as a way to, oh, this is a great time for me to reinforce my identity of being the person who always works on the things that I really love, that I believe the impact is huge. And I also want to be always like reinforcing my identity of being the person who makes decisions out of trust and not out of fear, right? And I want to also continue reinforcing my identity of being the person who always lives the life that she wants to, and gets paid in the way she wants to. And I want to reinforce that freedom, basically, that I continue nurturing and nurturing and growing, right? Because what then ends up happening is that whatever the crisis that happens, for instance, now the crisis is happening, I feel like I haven't been as affected as I would have been otherwise. And most importantly, I continued like reinforcing my identity of being the person who always wants to work on the things that I truly believe and love. And that crisis will not affect me in any way for me continuing being that person, right? And I want to like use every decision making opportunity to say, okay, this is the time when I either reinforce fear or reinforce trust in myself, right? If I reinforce fear and say, oh my God, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do that, then my brain will not only stop me from making decisions, but my brain will keep advocating me to go for the next best thing, whatever the thing. And then I will just go there and I will just grab to it and attach to it, attach myself to it, and then say, oh my God, I should never be losing this job because if I lose, then I will feel again all this fear and I don't want to. And then let me just stay in there. And then we just get so attached to that. And then if that job then becomes unavailable or they will ask us to leave, whatever it is, then we're back to square one of feeling so afraid of finding a job, feeling so afraid of getting to what you want to. And in those moments, again, you put yourself back to survival. And most importantly, you put yourself back to feeling like whatever it is, as long as it's a job and you can go for it, or as long as it has this criteria, you can go for it, instead of really being picky as to what content you want to work on, what problems you want to be solving, what growth opportunities you want to be having, what locations you want to be living, what financial security you want to be having, right? You will not even have any of the capacity, brain, like headspace to be working on that because the survival continue taking us in the wrong direction. And that's why, to sum up, I really want like us to think about what are the ways that we are making decisions currently, and are they coming from survival? And if they are coming from survival, then let's get us to the safer place where our basic needs are met, and then let's work on becoming the most reliable person on ourselves, being meaning that where we rely on ourselves and trust ourselves to be only going for the job that we want to, for only going for the life that we want to, only going for the locations we want to, and building that confidence, the trust to be able to continue going for it, no matter what the crisis is going to tell us, no matter who becomes the next president, no matter what the thing happens. And that way we will build ourselves even further of being the person who like strives and builds things long term, rather than keeps going from one survival to another survival and the third survival, and they're just feeling like this is never ending and let me just go to pension or like retired age and then I will just rest, and then feeling like, oh my God, my whole life went by with survival and I didn't even notice. And that's what we don't want to be in, I'm assuming. Okay, my dears, I hope that this was helpful for you to really look at how I have been making decisions, and I have been like, by most standards, very successful in having made these type of decisions and going always for what I love and going for the life that I want to live and being paid well for that life as well. And I would love for you to also think like, for you to know that this is a possibility, this is available, and the only way we can access that if we get out of that survival state. And I would love to help you get out of it. If you would like to come coach with me, message me or email me at asel@complaintfree.life. And until then, have a beautiful week. Bye.